hello, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram, Roche, and on this platform, it is men helping men redefine greatness through service. And today, we have a man by the name of Paul that I believe is going to be a powerful conversation. He is a self-confidence and happiness coach and a public speaker. He is a board licensed health and wellness coach, certified personal trainer, and behavioral change specialist, a certified nutrition coach, and the host of the Happy Healthy Human podcast. I want you to make sure you check this out and make sure you dive in this conversation, because I'm telling you, today he is going to push us beyond our excuses. So if you're ready, just like I am, let's go ahead and let's dive into this conversation. So, Paul, let's do this. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll dive right into our conversation.
Right. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
My name is Paul Leviton. I am a self-confidence and happiness coach, and I have a podcast called The Happy Healthy Human, and I have a education and coaching company called the Happy Healthy Human Academy. And everything that I do is around helping people become happier, healthier, and more confident people. And that's pretty much my life. And everything I do is around that. And I just try to help people and help myself and try to make the world a little bit better, I guess.
Okay. Well, I know then that is including today's conversation. You're going to help somebody's world be better and change and become healthier. I wanted to talk with you as we talked before, and being very honest, I was very excited about this conversation. I couldn't wait for us to have this, because I believe that this conversation that we're going to have today is vitally important, surely when we're talking about men dealing with this context of self-care and really the importance of what that looks like. So I want to kind of just give you an opportunity to kind of give some back history of yourself so they can kind of get a chance to know you. And then we'll dive really deep into knowing, or you telling me kind of some tips and some wisdom and advice on how to do self-care and the importance of it.
Yeah, great. My history on myself, again, as I said, I am a confidence and happiness coach. My professional career started first as a fitness coach, personal trainer, that led me to nutrition and then all other types of coaching. Okay. Personally, the way that I found personal development, self-help, whatever you want to call it, was through the need for myself. Okay. I was not, when I was younger, I'm still young, but when I was a youth, I was not the happy, healthy human. Okay. I was not the personal development guy. I was not the self-care guy. I was bad. I was a bad person. I was, to put things bluntly, I was just running around, drinking, drugs, partying, trying to sleep with as many girls as possible. I got to a point where, I got myself into a lot of trouble legally, and I was committing crimes, and I ended up getting arrested. And that all led me to an inflection point. I was living my life in one way, and I had some people have this in a figurative sense, but I had a literal, come to Jesus moment where I very really faced the potential of going to jail for a serious amount of time. Wow. And, in that moment, well, I had a decision to make, not really a decision. I had to come to grips with the reality that was very much possible. Okay. Right? So I got arrested, and that first night in jail, I had nothing to do. I had no one to blame but myself. There was nothing else to be done. I just had to come to grips with the reality of the situation, that this is quite possibly going to happen to me. Now, fast forward a little bit, I was fortunate enough that I was young. I hadn't gotten in trouble before. It was my first offense. There was, I was able to hire a lawyer and all the other things. And I was able to not go down that path. Yeah. But, after that, it was like, okay, clearly the route I'm going, which is again drinking, partying, running around with the friends that I had at the time who were doing the same type of things, right? This is, I grew up in New York City.
Okay.
That was that where the neighborhood I was in, the people I was with, that's just, that was where I grew up. But I was like, I can go that route and I can see where that's going to take me. And that was, that was strike one. I don't think this is a 3 strikes and you're out type thing. I think this is like, that was my one chance. And I skated by. I was like, or I can do better.
Yeah.
And, again, luckily I had at the time just started as a personal trainer, but I wasn't doing it seriously. I was doing it more just because I need to have something to do so I could tell my parents that I had a job when I was running around doing everything else that I was doing.
Gotcha.
But in that time, I decided to just lean into personal training, and very fortunate in the fact that personal training is about being better.
Right.
So then through my job, I actually started to help people, and I started to see that like, oh, what I can do matters. So I went from in one side, at one time, just again, caring about nothing but myself, again, nothing about the night's party, nothing about making money so that I could blow it at the club or do whatever dumb things that I was doing.
Right.
Now I'm actually helping people. And I remember the first time I had a client come in and like, who I had helped make their life better. And they told me what happened. And I was just like, whoa, like I did that. Like, not that I did that, it was their thing, but like I helped them. And like what I'm doing is making a difference. And then I got really into, again, personal development. I started to learn more about nutrition, mindset, health, psychology, behavior change, and everything like that. And I just, again, more for me than for anyone else because I needed this stuff. Yeah. But as I learned it and began to help my clients, I began to see that like this is something that the world needs. And, I just dedicated my life to it.
Wow. Well, it sounds like, which I personally love, it sounds like you literally lived out, you are helping people live out their story by the story that you lived your own self. So you actually ate of the same thing you're teaching. And so that's always a great thing. Cause and the only reason I'm saying that is reality. There's sometimes we have scenarios and situations where people are offering wisdom, information, tips of things that they have never had to go through them own self. And so to be able to see now this transformational type thing happening, not only with your own life, but now seeing it through your clients' lives, I know that does something for you every single time it happens. So I'm glad to be able to hear that experience. I do want to ask you a question before we dive in, because now you got me intrigued about your own personal life. Because I'll say it this way: for those that see Paul, and for those that will see, you'll see Paul's picture or whatever, that you'll go to his link, that I'll have all that information below. But when you get a chance to be able to see him, I'm gonna be very honest. The story that he just told did not go with what I see. And so, but is a good thing, because that means that, being very honest, that means that what you have now produced and what you're helping and teaching men to be able to understand, it actually works. And it's helpful. So I want to ask this question. Once you started to seriously go after your profession of, first being a coach, and then, walking down these other lines of being of coaching, when you first started to walk into this, for you, how did you see the development of your own personal self-care? And how did you see the impact of that into the people that you are helping?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it definitely came, again, I say that, everything happens for a reason, as cliche as that sounds, right? And it's like I said, like I needed that to be pushed so far in the other direction. So because of what happened with, with the story I just told, and because of the fact that, again, I was a personal trainer, I had the perfect storm of events to dive in head first, right? I was already in that world. I already had resources in that world. I had friends, and so I went from 0 to 100, as they say, right? I changed a lot very quickly. A lot of it came from simply drinking less, right? Okay. That was a huge thing. And I don't say I'm sober, because I'm not. I still do drink. I'm not like a really 100% sober, but I used to drink 2, 3, 4 times a week. And when I drank to black out every time. There was no in between. It was like, I'm drinking, we're ripping shots, we're popping bottles, we're going after it. I was, again, waking up with strange women and there, in random cities. It was intense. So I went from that to, I just stopped doing that. Right. But in cutting out drinking, it was like that left a giant void, right? Because this is the thing that people don't understand. When you take something away, you have to fill it with something. And this is why a lot of people fail with things like this, right? Because they try to stop smoking or they try to stop drinking. They try to pull away a bad habit, but it's like, now you have all that time. So again, I was fortunate in that I worked at a gym. So I just filled that time with exercise. I became extremely healthy because again, I went from one addiction to another, but if you're going to be addicted to anything, probably the gym is the best choice you could make.
Right.
And so there was the gym, and there was also learning about the gym, because again, I saw this world where I was like, okay, I can actually help people. But for the first few years, again, when I was a trainer, I wasn't taking it seriously. I wasn't like, I was just like going through the motions kind of. Now I was like, oh, I want to be good at this. So there was a combination of, I spent my time physically working out, exercising, whatever, and then also learning a lot. I dove into this was a few years ago, before Instagram and YouTube were as popular, but this blogs and textbooks and everything. And I decided that, like, if I was going to be this, I was going to be the best at it. So I wanted to be confident in my abilities. Again, for myself, if I'm going to be dedicating so much time to exercise, I want to understand it. And if I'm going to be teaching people and they're going to be paying me, I want to understand it. Gotcha. So, because of that, again, it was really the change. It was the taking away the partying and the alcohol that allowed for that change. And then again, replacing that, it was taking away a negative and replacing it with a positive, right? So I didn't go from negative to zero. I went from negative to positive. And that was like the hugest thing, and everything else was able to unfold because of that.
Got you. Wow. Yeah. So basically you literally just flipped the script. You went from one end to the other spectrum. But I do love the aspect that you took the time in between, not just to dive in. Because I think, like, even like you're saying, sometimes we can take away some things, and then we have this void, we have this openness, and then we just fill it with just stuff, but we don't have an understanding of the stuff that we're filling it with. And it sounds like you just took it to the next extreme of where not only did you dive into more with the gym, but then you learned it. You took the time to educate yourself. You took the time to really study this as a craft. And now, because of that result, you're helping so many other people. So with that, so let's I want now to deal with your help because now we're both going to have this conversation, because I want to learn and know with my own self, how to be able to live and function in this. When we're talking about this context of self-care, I know personally with me, and I don't want this to turn into my own personal therapy session. So this is not, but you'll help me in this conversation, Paul. But with me, I'm one of those people where everything else seems per se as the priority. So, the family, the job, this or whatever, all of these things. And the majority of the time I leave myself for last, or being very honest, or not at all. Or I just don't have the energy to give myself anything. So what would you say, or how would you give me some form of insight, wisdom, and advice to be able to kind of fix that, adjust that, so that I can get what I need at the end of the day?
Yeah. And you see, for those, I don't know if people can see the video or not, but you see, anyone who sees the video, if not, if you're just listening, I'm nodding along as you're saying all of that, because this is everyone, right? This is,
right.
There's a funny thing we do as humans where we all think we're so unique, but in reality, we all have the same 6 problems. I just made that number up, but it's a few things. It's a handful of things, right?
Right.
And that's why my podcast and my brand is called Happy, Healthy, Human. Human is the last word, because humans are humans. People think we're all special snowflakes, and no, you don't understand. It's you're different, but my problems are unique to me. We're not. Right. Everyone's busy, right? Everyone, the exact same thing that you just said is every single person is going to say that, right? So we have to understand that, like, this is just life. In the 21st century, the year 2022, as when we're recording this, there is more to do than we can ever do. There are more things than you will ever have time to do. And so when you play that game of I have to do all my stuff, you lose automatically because there was never ending. There's always another email to answer. There's always another project to start. There's always more money to be made. There's always another thing to do. So you've already set yourself up for failure when you think about things that way. And we have to understand that when we're talking about self-care, I want to flip it completely because as humans, we have an inclination to do more for others than we will do for ourselves.
Okay.
Right? Have you ever had an experience where you had a really important project to get done, but you didn't have time, you didn't have the energy, but it was due by a certain time and you got it done?
Yep.
Of course not. And yet when it's for you, you can't do it, right? You just said that was your excuse of why you can't do things for yourself. But if it's for someone else, if it's for something, if it's for a business partner, if it's for your family, it's for literally anyone else, somehow you'll muster up the energy to get it done.
Yeah.
But when it's for you, it's like, I'm just too tired. Right. So it's like that thing of I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. It's not true. It's if you look at things factually, right? I don't have time. Have you ever done anything that you didn't have time for? Right.
Yep.
All the time. Somehow you find time for things that you don't have time for all the time. So the excuse of I don't have time isn't real. We can see that because the facts will show that all of the time you do things that you don't have time for.
Yeah.
I'm too tired. Once again, have you ever done something when you're too tired and somehow you got it done?
Yep.
So again, the evidence will show. I'm big on the facts, not fiction. The story that we tell ourselves is I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, I don't have the energy. The facts will show that all the time you do things when you're too tired, all the times you do things when you have no time, all the time you do things when you have no energy. And yet in certain times you get it done, certain times you don't. So why is that? It's because we don't prioritize, again, ourselves over other things because we think we're like, well, how can I pick myself over others? How can I pick myself over my kids? How can I pick myself over my business? Because my business is money and money feeds my kids. How can I pick myself over my family? Right. Which makes sense when you think about it that way. But when you understand that the best version of you is what's best for your family. What's best for your family is not one more work project completed. What's best for your family is not one more Disney vacation. What's best for your family is not new designer shoes for your 5-year-old or whatever the hell the thing is.
Right.
What's best for your family is the version of you that's full of energy, that's full of zest, that is able to get home from at the end of the day and not feel so exhausted. Right. Yeah. So the things that we need, the self-care, the exercise, the proper diet, the prioritizing ourselves, it's for you, but only because the light has to emanate from you outward. Yeah. It can't be the other way around. So it has to start from within. And in doing that, you then make your kids' life better, make your spouse's life better, make your parents' life better, make your subordinates, your coworkers, whoever it is, they get better because of you, not the other way around. You can't pour everything you have into everyone else and then expect somehow that it comes back around to you.
Paul, you are helping me because and I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this. I'm saying it because the funnier part is majority of what you're saying is what I tell the people. You know what I'm saying? It's the stuff that I'm sharing with other people and telling them that they should do. But actually then taking that and being very honest and eating and taking my own medicine, as some would say, sometimes it's difficult. Again, like you said, it's the story I tell myself because even, for example, on last night or yesterday, me and my family, we had an outing. We were literally out all day. By the time we got home and I got a chance to sit down, I was burnt out. I was ready to just lay down and go to bed. And my son was like, "Hey, Dad, you forgot to get me a snack. You promised you was going to get me a snack." And I'm like, "Oh, God, I'm so tired. I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll be right back." And I push myself to still do it. But then when I think about the times where I need something for me, it's like, I'm so tired. I'll just do it tomorrow. Or I'll just, it's not that important. I'll get it done whenever, and I'll push it off because, again, like you said, I haven't made myself to be that priority. So the question that then I want to ask then is, how do we shift that? Because if that's a pattern, if that's a mindset, if that's a behavior that a lot of people have, how do you get us to be able to shift that thought process? Because I'll say for me, sometimes doing that, making myself the priority, makes me feel bad.
Mhm. Right. And well, that's exactly it, right? It's this, we have been taught in some ways, bred in some ways. It's been
Mhm.
from our societal upbringing in some ways, that exactly that to do for ourselves is bad, to do for others is good.
Yeah.
But that's why I said it's so important to that you reframe this, not as just doing for myself. Like, when, again, you can think of it as dad time, right? It might say like, I can't take an afternoon to just have dad time. But
Mm.
if you understand that when you don't take that afternoon, you're snapping at your kids, or you're on your phone the whole time because
Yeah.
like you don't have the time for yourself. So you're just doing it whenever or something like that. It's like, who are you really punishing in that thing? Right. It's very easy to just say like, I can't do for me because I'm just punishing myself. We're okay. We're always okay with letting ourselves down. Right? We do it all the
Right.
time. I let myself down all the time.
Yeah.
Again, but my mom, my sister, my anyone else, I'll do something for. So when we can pretend like it's only us we're letting down,
Mhm.
because again, when your son asked, there's no way you would make him not go hungry. Like, of course you're going to get
Right.
up. Like, you could be two broken legs and you would have gotten up to make him a snack, right? Because you would never
Exactly.
let him down. So the only way you're able to do that is when you say, oh, it's just me I'm letting down and not him. But it's not.
Mm.
By not being healthy, by not being happy, by not being more confident, whatever the thing is, you
Yeah.
are letting them down. Because I guarantee you, how old are you?
Well, at the time of this recording, I am 38 years old.
38 years old. I can guarantee you that 30 years from now,
Mhm.
right, your kids, your grandkids at that time are
Yeah.
going to want a healthy version of you. They're not going to want the version of you that is, because again, I saw this firsthand as a personal trainer. I had
Mhm.
people come into me at 60, 70 years old who had been exercising for their whole lives, and
Mhm.
they moved like a 40-year-old. And then I had people come in at 40 years old who hadn't exercised since they were 18, and they moved like a presumed 80-year-old. So aging is very much
Wow.
about your exercise, and it's about how you treat your body, and
Mhm.
internally as well, right? Eating right,
Yeah.
getting enough sleep, right? It's easy to say like, well, I can't get enough sleep because I have to stay up to do all these things. But
Mhm.
again, once you realize that the no sleep version of you is more likely to snap at your wife, it's more likely to be to doze off in the times that actually matter. It's like,
Yeah.
well, who are you really hurting by not prioritizing your sleep? So
Yeah.
we have to shift this. We have to shift the narrative away from being like, oh, like, because now I get to be the martyr, right? It's like, oh,
Mhm.
well, I do so much for my kids. Yeah, I can't take time for me, but that's the sacrifice I make for them. No, all right. You don't
Right.
want to work out, right? You don't want to eat healthy, right? It's because we talk about it like that, like, well, I would if I could, if I had the time, but it's just I'm just doing so much for everyone else that
Yeah.
there's no way that I can shut up. Like it's
Right.
real. If you be real with yourself, be honest with yourself, and just say it's not my priority. And if you
Yeah.
say that, if you can say it honestly, say, hey, I know being healthy is important,
Mhm.
but right now it's not my priority. Then that's fine. No one can fault you for that because you've
Right.
been honest with yourself. It's when
Yeah.
people lie to themselves that gets me, because now it's like, well, that's not true, right? It's like, well,
Yeah.
I would do it if I had the time. No, just say that you don't want to make it a priority right now. And if you can sit and say, I know my health is important, but it's not a priority for me right now,
Mhm.
and you have kids, then you're a different person than I am, because I can never say, I can't even say that I don't have kids, but I have a
Right.
nephew, right? And I know that I'll have kids one day. So it's like, I can't sit and say I don't value my time, my
Yeah.
sleep, my health, whatever I'm doing, because I know that impacts others.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to tell you, Paul, openly. And I promise you, I won't edit this part of the conversation. But you're making me feel horrible at this point. No, let me stop. No, but you, no, you're helping me because again, like you said, it's a bunch of excuses. It's the excuses that we use to continue the same life cycle. And then we complain about the cycle that we've created, and then it becomes this constant cycle over and over again. But like you said, the people that we are saying that we're doing it for don't get the best of us. They're really not benefiting, because we're not taking that time to prioritize or shift or change for us. And so I will say, like for me, I do know that there have been moments because I haven't prioritized and because I make all the excuses in the world of why I can't do for me and I take the time for me and I'm pouring, pouring, pouring. I have seen those moments, like you stated, where I'm snappy with my wife or I'm snappy with my children, or, I can see that I'm very irritated about things that probably don't even is not even a big thing. But because I have not taken the time to do those things and take those time to pour into me, I'm so exhausted. And so again, like I said, this is really helping me. And I know that whoever else all the other people that are listening to this conversation and watching us, they have to be faced with truth. Because I'm gonna just be honest, Paul just slapped everybody in the face with truth through this portion of this conversation because we
I,
don't have no more excuses.
I just want to say, because I do, like, I'm coming off aggressive in this conversation. I just
You're
wanted
good.
to explain people, like, I know, like, I know that you're half joking, but like people can get pissed off with this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, again, this is me talking to me. The reason I know this is because this is me. As
Right.
I said, I literally, again, we're talking figuratively.
Yeah.
I literally came face to face with the consequences of my actions
Yeah.
sitting in a jail cell. Right. And like had to come to like all the and all the excuses in the world and everything else that I wanted to, it didn't matter because
Yeah.
that was the reality of the thing.
Yeah.
And then again, I came face to face with the consequences of my actions when my mom came to visit me and she was crying and I'm like, I have to, I've accepted my fate already, like, I'm kind of like,
Right.
I'm like, it's going to be what it's going to be, but she didn't,
Yeah.
she hadn't. So in that moment, I was fine, because
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what, I'm going to pay for my actions, however it happens.
Yeah.
My mom wasn't ready. She didn't know what was going on. Like this blindsided her. I almost killed her, but like
Right.
from heartbreak, right? Seeing her
Yeah.
only son go, like, could possibly whatever could have happened to me. And so it's like, oh, my actions, even if I'm okay with them, have consequences on other people.
Yeah.
Right. That is
Yeah.
not figuratively, literally. I saw this, right? So it's like, I'm not trying to be like, again, be mean or anything to people. I'm just saying it, regardless of whether you like it or not, regardless of if you agree with it or not, whatever, it's just is. There are
Yeah.
certain things in life that are facts. And
Yeah.
again, facts are feelings. So all
Yeah.
I'm talking about, if the fact is the fact, it doesn't matter what you feel about it. Right. And if for the people who are feeling a little triggered right now, I would ask to look inward and see if there's a reason, because if this stuff just brushed off of me, if I had no care about this stuff, I might be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But if I'm like, oh man, he doesn't know. Again, he doesn't understand my thing is unique. No, he doesn't understand. I'm an entrepreneur. I have to work late nights. No, he doesn't understand. I have 3 kids. He doesn't have any kids. It's like, again, your brain is always going to go right to that place of like, it's going to try to protect you. It's going to try to retreat in. It's going to try to, and excuses are real, right? That's what I was saying, that the no time thing is real. Okay. You don't have time. I'm too busy is real. I'm too tired is real. These things are real. I'm not saying that they're not, but again, who has time?
Right.
You tell me one person that you know that has time.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Right.
And like I know people who are multimillionaires who have exited from having a company buy out their app or something like that for $20 million, and they don't have time. Somehow they find a way to compulsively think that they are still running out of time. So we think it's about money. We think it's about this. Oh, when the kids are in school right now. Oh, but it's summer, so they're at camp. When they go back to school, oh, now I have to get the kids ready to school. Oh, but now it's camp time again. Okay, when they're 18, or it's like we're always going to find a reason. Right. So I just like to be very realistic with people and just say, it's like, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying and obviously for some people it's easier, right? Me talking as a guy with no kids, talking to a father of multiple kids, we're in different situations. So I'm not saying what your life has to look like is what my life looks like. I'm not saying, oh, go to the gym for 2 hours a day like I do. No, that would be ludicrous. What I'm saying is that there is a way, whether it's going for a 10-minute walk to clear your head, meditating for 5 minutes before the kids get up and the house turns into a tornado, whether it's, again, telling your wife, hey, once a month, babe, I just need an afternoon to just really decompress. And again, you'd feel weird for asking, but she would say, oh my God, of course, honey. And like just doing the one smallest thing is okay. But the point is that to just use these excuses and lean on them like a crutch, because that's what they become. They become a crutch. Right? I call these conversation enders. no time. Well, I don't have time. Oh, conversation done. Because again,
Right.
the time fairy isn't coming and sprinkling more time around, right?
Right.
Well, I'm too tired. Sorry. Like when the kids graduate and go to college, maybe then you'll be able to get some sleep. But it's like we have these things that when we just throw them out there. But it's like if you're not putting up a solution, you're not being very helpful.
Yeah.
Just saying I don't have time, just saying I don't have the energy, just saying I don't have the say like I don't have time, and here's what I'm going to do to change it.
Right.
Say, I'm super tired right now, and that's probably a symptom of something. So let me look at what I could do better moving forward.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking just facts. The best thing we can do is try to take away all the feelings and the emotion and the stories from this stuff and just be honest with ourselves, right? I would say, this is me being honest to me, because at the end of the day, you can lie to everyone.
Right.
You can tell your boss, oh, I didn't have time. You can tell your wife, babe, I'm just so tired. You can tell whatever. But when you put your head down on the pillow at the end of the night, if you could have done a 30-minute workout, even though you were so tired, could you have thrown a YouTube video on and done a bunch of air squats or something like that? When you say, I just had to stop at McDonald's because there was nothing else that I could eat, that you could have made a salad or bought something healthier at McDonald's and not the Big Mac with the fries with the large Coke, right? So no one is checking you on this stuff. It all comes from a level of self-honesty. And that's the hardest thing, because we don't want to be honest with ourselves. We want to hold tight to our excuses. We love them. They're so close to us. They make us feel good. They make us feel warm and fuzzy to have an excuse that I can lean on. Oh, I know everything is hard, but I'm a dad. All right. But again, no one is coming to save you. So if you won't do it for yourself, you're going to struggle for a long time.
Paul. Oh gosh, Paul, you have literally stripped everything about me. No, but on a serious note, even though, like you stated, even though it's not per se, I won't even say it's per se aggression. I think it's a dynamic difference when you see someone about to run into a wall and you're screaming to get their attention versus you just see somebody strolling down the street and you're screaming at them. It's a dynamic of a difference. And I think what Paul is doing for all of us, again, including myself, is he's watched so many men hit this same wall, and even himself have experienced going and doing the same thing. And now, because of that, he's screaming, and his passion for it is just flowing through this conversation, and he's wrecking our entire life. But but what I would say is, and again, this is also for me, Paul. So when I make this statement, I'm including myself. If we want change, though, then we have to be honest, and we have to be able to really be honest, agree with what you're saying. Like, there's nothing in this conversation. Like, one of the things, like, me and my mentor will talk, and he'll say certain things to me, and then he'll make this statement. Now, Hiram, show me where I'm wrong. And in this conversation, Paul, I can't say to you, Paul, you're wrong here. Like, there's nothing that you have stated so far that I can say that you have been wrong in. But for all the men that are watching, as well as that are listening, I think we should all sit down and really make this examination and really be honest and truthful. Because again, yes, is like you said, is our lives extremely busy? Do we have more to do now than we've ever had before in any generation? Yes, all of those things are true. You might be like Paul, where, Paul, like Paul said, Paul is just, he has his own schedule. He has his own business. He's helping out people. So his schedule is booked, just like probably a lot of our other people schedule is booked. But on top of all of those things that are happening, he's making the time. He has set a time where he takes care of him. And so when I'm thinking about my schedule, I have a schedule too. Yes, I have children. Yes, I have a wife. Yes, I have a business. Yes, I have a job. All of those things are truth and reality. But like you said, I have to sit back and I have to, one, be accountable that the things that I've already been doing is not working for me. And when I realize that these things aren't working for me, now it's like, okay, I'm listening to Paul whoop my behind, and now I'm going to make the adjustments. And I'm going to be honest with myself, and I'll not allow these excuses anymore to dictate how my life goes. Because,
Right.
like you stated, I do want to give them the best version of me.
Right.
And as much as I've been able to get away with it, I'll say it
Hmm.
that way, now I don't have any excuse.
Right. And on a more tactical side, right, for guys listening or for yourself, right, people
Mhm.
want to understand like how does this look? It's very
Yeah.
simple, right? Whatever self-care is to you, like again, I use fitness and eating healthy as an analogy.
Hmm.
This is anything, but again, it usually tends to be this because I've said this again since I was a personal trainer, since I was a nutrition coach, fitness, health, that kind of stuff. I call it like the redheaded stepchild, right?
Yeah.
It's all somehow when everything gets busy, that's always what gets cut. It's never your meeting. It's never your meeting.
Right.
Never, no, I never once have I heard someone like, I got so busy and I canceled a meeting, but I'm still going to the gym. It's
Right.
always the gym that gets
Right.
canceled. Like, because we treat our health and our wellness like a second class citizen.
Yeah.
Treat it, or it goes on the back burner. That's all you have to do is decide that that is not the case anymore. It cannot be the case that I schedule my gym, my exercise, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be gym. I go for walks. I go for bike rides. It's not like lifting. I don't care what you're doing.
Right.
I schedule something physical in my schedule, and I stick to it like it's a meeting. Just like we had this in our schedule, I
Yeah.
blocked the time out. So, but when I'm scheduling my week, my fitness, my health, my grocery shopping, my meal prepping, whatever it is, I put that in
Yeah.
just as importantly. It doesn't go as like, okay, let me fill in my work stuff, fill in the kid stuff, fill in date night with my wife, and then put in my fitness stuff. It's like, no,
Yeah.
like again, no one is going to give you this time. And as you said, you're 38 now. You've skated by up until now. I can guarantee you at 40, it's not going to get easier. I can
Right.
guarantee you at 45, it's not going to get easier. And I can guarantee you, if you don't get to it, and this is to you directly, but also to anyone listening,
Mhm.
eventually it's going to come to you. Right. Again,
Yeah.
this is the person who's going to come in like, my doctor told me I have high blood pressure. My doctor told me
Right.
I'm pre-diabetic. My knee is really bad. I have back pain, all of this stuff. It's like that stuff is going to affect your life. So, whether you want to prioritize this stuff or not, eventually it's going to come back around to you. So,
Yeah.
and again, it's like you said, like I've seen it, right? I've seen it literally in my own life and
Yeah.
also play out 1,000 times. I worked at a gym for almost 10 years and I would see people all the time, the same thing. Like I'm kind of into it and I'm not. And I would see them a year later and they're in the same place. I would
Yeah.
see people who come in again at 50 years old, like, yeah, I haven't worked out since college, and like see what their body is like versus again, someone who comes in the same age, but goes, yeah, I've been running every day for whatever. I lift weights still. And I would see the difference. And it's exactly as you said. It's like, when I see someone drowning, I want to pull them out. So I get very passionate about it. I'm also from New York, so I talk fast and I talk loud and I gesture with my hands a lot. So that's part of the Brooklyn in me too. So I'm just a passionate guy.
Oh, don't worry. I'm used to it. I've been blessed to be married to a Philadelphian, so not too long from you. But no, you're good. And again, Paul, I'll say this, being and then we'll shift a little bit, but I just want to tell you thank you. Even though this conversation hurt a whole lot, but but I really do for real. I just want to tell you thank you, because I've been in a place where I'm like, I don't want to live the way I'm living now. I do want to see the change. I do want to make sure that I am the best version for my wife, for my sons, and and for all my everyone around me that I'm pouring into. I want to be able to give them the best version of what that looks like. And being very honest, I've been in a place where I'm like, okay, but how do you do that? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I make this happen? And so through this conversation, though, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you want to do it. You've been wanting to do it. Now you just got to get through the excuses. And through this conversation, you have literally probably whooped every excuse out of my thought process.
That's awesome.
And,
I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
well, you've helped me, and I know you help so many other men, and so I want to ask this question because I know where you are currently, But is the way that you coach and different things like that, do you have a platform where men, no matter where they are, can be able to connect with you so they can get this daily whooping and encouragement? And Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So for anyone who wants to connect with me, you can reach out to me on any social media platform. It's just my name at Paul Leviton, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have a ton of free resources around this stuff. And my podcast, the Happy Healthy Human podcast, is where I talk about things like this all the time. I have nearly 100 episodes of talking on concepts and topics just like this with all different types of experts and things like that. But yeah, if any guy is listening and thinks that, the person that I want to talk to is someone who says kind of exactly what you just said. It's like, I know I've been wanting to change for a long time. I've been saying I've been wanting to change for a long time, but there's been that missing piece, right? The want is there, but I need a little bit of the strategy. I need a little bit of the accountability and a little bit of the realism, but I'm ready to shift gears into that next part of my life. A lot of times my clients come from having focused very much on one part, right? Very focused on business for a long time, usually, right?
Yeah.
Very focused on money for a long time, which is fine. We need that phase in our life. In our 20s
Right.
and our 30s, we're getting established. But when you're 30, 35, 40, you have a kid, you have another kid on the way or something like that. It's like we start to realize what's really important in this life.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to, again, not just focus on health, but focus on the mental side of things, because that's where a lot of things get lost. A lot of people think it's just about tell me when to work out, but that's why I stopped being a personal trainer, because I realized that it's not just about that. I could give people the best workouts in the world, the best nutrition plans in the world, which again, I'm certified to do, but it wasn't helping them because we weren't going through this stuff first. I wasn't breaking down the mental roadblocks that they had. And so that's what I do with my clients now. So I'm happy to chat with anyone. And if anyone is interested as well, I have a masterclass on self-sabotage. If you find yourself in these cycles of, starting, stopping, getting in your own way a lot, I have a 45-minute masterclass on how to get out of those cycles of self-sabotage that I'll share with any of your listeners for free.
Okay. All right. Well, see, I'm just going to tell you up front, for anyone that's listening, I'm going to take advantage of all of this, so I can make sure that that I'm able to break out and do what I need to do and continue to be better. Paul, I do want to just say thank you again, genuinely. Thank you for taking some time out and really being able to have this conversation, help push me a little bit, help deal with me a little bit, and push me off my stool of excuses, and all the other men that are listening to this and watching this. Please do not allow this conversation just like push you and he hits you in your chest a little bit and all of that, and then you don't do anything. Please make sure that you listen to this and then take the time to put action to this conversation. So again, thank you again, Paul, for taking out your time. Please take advantage. All of his social media information will be in the description below. You can be able to connect with him, take advantage of all that he has. And for those that want to go and dive deep with him, he'll make set up the time and connect with him, and I promise you your life will no longer be the same. And so if it wasn't the same in this conversation, I promise you he'll make sure that you're going to be good to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Paul. Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening and watching, and as always, continue to be great. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Thank you all for watching this video. My heart is that I don't do this for myself. I make sure that I am doing this for you, to bring you the tools that you need so you can walk in your greatness. So continue with me every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, as well as you can make sure that you listen to me on all podcast platforms. And let's continue to grow this greatness tribe.